Yo, it's the Stu.dio show, about to drop the flow. When podcasters unite, let's all go toe to toe. From NYC to LA, we on a mission to showcase our studios, ain't no competition.
My name is Damon. I go by Izzy, and welcome to my podcast studio on See My Stew. I'm going to take you around here a little bit, real quick, dance you around the studio, show you my equipment here, and we will talk about it. I'll tell you a little bit about it, how I got started. So again, Damon, Izzy, I run 2 podcasts out of here. This is just the den in my house. I converted it to a full-on studio, mainly to give my friends a place where they could really feel like they were really in a real podcast. As funny as that sounds, if you listen to our podcast, one was my girlfriend and I have an age gap relationship, and our podcast is called the Brizy Experience. You can find us on Apple, Spotify, just about anywhere you get your podcast from. And I also run a veteran podcast. I'm part of a veterans association, and I sit down with these guys. I call all my Navy buddies. I get these guys to get their friends in, and that's called the Nuts to Butts podcast, a veteran podcast. Again, that can also be found Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast from. Okay, so let me give you a little tour here. I got a little setup here. Let me unplug power. So I keep my guitars on the wall. We come around, put some soundproofing in. As you look around the room, you'll see we've got pictures hanging up here. My girlfriend and I in our podcast, it's our little adventures. Everywhere we go, we talk about it on the podcast. So those pictures are in here. I also have little drawings that one of our members on the Nuts to Butts podcast does every time he's in here. They're not really kid-friendly, so I'm not going to show those around. You can check the Instagram. Both podcasts are on Instagram. So let me give you a little tour around the room. I got the rest of this blocked off from the rest of my house. So it's just a little isolated podcast studio environment. So we come in here, same thing. I have some concert memorabilia up here, just some pictures we hang in here, just for fun, to give everybody something to look at. Again, we have another gentleman who's an artist, excuse me, and he draws everybody's picture. Anybody new guests come in the studio, he draws their picture. So that's what these are right here. Everybody's picture. Mine's at the top, right up there. Coming back around the room, same thing, more pictures. And then I have my grandmother's old hutch, stuff with knickknacks and little things to look at, a little novelty sign for the boys. Yeah, I'm a little bit of a Star Wars nut. So music gear, drumsticks, guitar picks we've gotten from concerts, my daughter and I. And just some knick-knackety stuff, just stuff to look at. Coming back around. Right in here, a little printer. Podcast room lighting. Candle. We got a little booze cabinet for the boys at the Nuts to Butts podcast, so they still want to have a drink. And again, back to the back wall here. So now I'll give you a little tour of the table. Here is the podcast table. 4 microphones. We got a Rodecaster Pro 2. That's probably so far my most favorite piece of equipment to deal with. Let me go around here. We got 4 microphones all set up. It's set up for people all the time. Like, just operate down. I'll cut microphones off if there's only 1 or 2 of us in here. Stool over here, right in the back. We got a 5th person here. Swing a microphone around for them. Everybody's comfortable. Everybody has plenty of space to stretch out. And get up here. We call this the Temple of Doom. And it's just a little fun place to sit in here and podcast. All the microphones are Samson Q9 U's. And it's just standard cabling. I am an amateur of all amateurs at this. So I spent on a budget just putting gear together. I didn't want to go too small in case we were going to expand. Excuse me. I figured I could always sell the equipment if it wasn't working out, but everything works really good. Everybody has a good time. The Rodecaster Pro 2, I don't even touch hardly any of the features on it. Like I said, I've one podcast, the Nuts to Butts podcast, is running 4 to 6 months. The Brizy Experience we're coming up on a year. So we're starting to try to expand. Our podcasts are really raw It was more for fun, something to do together with my girlfriend, and then more of like a therapy session for veterans. So both of these are expanding, and we hope everybody takes a listen. Rodecaster Pro 2, I highly suggest it. I recommend it. Like I said, we got Shure headphones, Shure or Samson Q9U microphones. Everything runs basic. I haven't had any problems with it. It's just follow the directions, YouTube. That's how I learned. And I'm always learning, always trying to educate myself, listen to other people's podcasts, encourage them to listen to mine, give me feedback. I know it's raw, it's fun, take a listen. Nuts to Butts podcast, a veteran podcast, the Brizy Experience. Check them out. Apple, Spotify, Instagram. That's where we're at. That's about all I've got. Real simple setup, real fun. I highly suggest getting into it. Take your time, learn about it, and most importantly, consistency. We've had a little issues with it. Consistency. If you're once a week, put it up once a week. I don't care if it's 15 minutes, a little segment. We try to run an hour on everything. Consistency is the key. That's really all I have so far. I'm the amateur of all amateurs, everybody. Thanks for seeing my stew.
Podcasters in the house, we're here to entertain. Come join the party, it's to see my stew.